Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday night. We're at Kitchen Door Catering, as always. I'm Chef Ben, your host, and it is Chit Chat Shop. I'm joined by Julian D'Entremont of Great Canadian Baking fame. Julian, thank you for joining me. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Welcome. Longtime viewers know that I hate cookies. I hate making them. I can't eat them, but we're making them tonight.
Well, I guess I should have watched your show a few times to figure that out before I decided to cook cookies.
So what are we making, Julian?
Well, you really should have told me that. Especially since, did you know today is Pie Day?
No, I did not know that. But it makes sense.
Apparently, right, it's 3.1415 day.
But we're making cookies.
If I had known today was going to be Pie Day, you know what we would have done? Cookies.
Cookies, yeah. So what kind of cookies are we going to make?
Well, we're going to make classic chocolate chip.
Okay.
My mom's secret recipe, which hopefully nobody's watching.
I really hope that some people are watching. I'm going to be honest. So what's different about this recipe compared to other recipes?
Well, it's good.
Other recipes aren't.
Well, I grew up on them, so.
What kind of cookie is this? Is it like a kind of like lumpy cookie?
No,
is it a flat cookie? Is it a chewy cookie? Is it a crispy cookie?
It's chewy.
Okay.
And I prefer chewy. I'm all about a soft cookie. No nuts. Mm-hmm. I'm against nuts. And so we're going with... Now, Mom's chocolate chip cookie is a shortening based chocolate chip cookie. And that might be sacrilege for a lot of people, but I you know what? I tend to like them. They're good.
So is there, in your opinion, or technically, is there a difference in the cookie itself between butter or shortening? I gotta spit this Jolly Rancher. Oops, sorry.
Do you know, it's pretty, I find, not that I'm a professional, I'm just an amateur, of course, but I find butter and shortening are pretty interchangeable. I haven't really noticed maybe a huge difference, a little bit taste, obviously. A little different salt content, but it's pretty interchangeable in most recipes. Pastry, pie,
Gotcha.
cookies.
Okay, so what do we need to do? I'm going to switch you positions,
Sure.
and you're going to... This is one of those great episodes where I don't have to do anything. I love it.
You have to carry the show. I mean, you're the star.
That's easy. That's easy.
You're this. Give a wink at the camera. Come on, give us.
Okay, so what do we need to do?
Well, we're going to start with...
Sorry?
I didn't bring Mom's recipe. I'm just doing it by memory, so I
Okay.
might mess it up and Mom's going to be really mad. But we're going to put our sugar in first.
Okay.
So we're going with
White sugar and brown sugar?
white sugar and brown sugar.
How much?
It is a half a cup of white and a quarter cup of brown. This is for a single batch. I always double it, but for the show I'm just doing a single batch.
Okay.
So we just mix that up a little bit. We had a whisk.
I can get you a whisk, man. Last time I made cookies on this show, I used a whisk, and I got hate.
Then do you know what? I don't want hate.
My sister is a baker, used to be a baker, and when I got home, she called me out so hard. She's like, "Why were you using a whisk?"
Well, you know what I find for dry ingredients, it's good for just kind of mixing it up.
Yeah, I agree. Adam, our is not working.
Oh no.
No. So what got you into baking? Because you're a contractor by trade.
I am.
So I'm going to be honest, when I think contractor, I don't necessarily jump immediately to baker.
I've been asked this quite a few times, and I don't really have a great answer for it. I guess my mom was, at one point she was a professional baker. She baked at a few restaurants in Yarmouth, where I'm from.
Okay.
And I just always grew up with, my grandmothers were bakers, so there was always delicious pastries about Christmas time. I mean, there was always something at the house, whether it's bread or pies, and I just kind of picked it up.
Gotcha.
When I moved out, I didn't want to lose my access to good baking. So I kind of picked it up a little bit, and and just over the years, I, expanded my horizons a little bit in baking and ended up on Chit Chat Chop.
You
Which is-
finally
which is
made it.
amazing for me. I made it.
Okay, so
Hopefully, I don't get kicked off this show like the last show I was on.
we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell.
See how much wine I
You're in the
have
top
for the-
one. You're in the top one.
So we got our sugar in there.
So we got our sugar, yep, and
Now-
I need a knife to cut
A
that.
knife? Sure, go for it.
So we use half a cup of shortening. I know I'm going to take hate for using shortening in my cookies.
So
Most people are butter purists.
I am.
You know what I'm saying?
I am actually.
You probably are.
You were on the Great Canadian Baking Show.
I was.
So, like, baking at home and decided to try out for a show like that, that's a pretty big leap, right? Like, it's got to take a certain amount of confidence in what you're doing. Like, what made you actually try out for the show? What was that decision process?
Well, I would never do that on my own. My wife actually sent me the application one day. She saw it on Facebook or somewhere online and sent me the application and said I should try it. And I didn't. So probably about a week later, she asked me if I'd filled it out and I said no, and she got a little annoyed with me and made me go down and do it. So I grabbed a beer, went down and filled out the application, and really thinking there was, what are the chances I'm going to get a call on this? And I did. About a week later, I got a call from the producer, and she said, we want you to come do an interview. We're going to be in Halifax at this point. So I went to the interview and did that. And, a few weeks after that, I get another call and was asked to be on the show.
That's amazing.
So-
How did you feel like when you got the call to be on the show? Was it like
Never really in my wildest dreams.
Was it like excitement, or were you just like, what the hell? Like, what's going on?
Well, people that know me, this is my excitement. So I didn't really show it. I mean, inside I was maybe a little excited, but
I can tell how excited you are.
yeah.
I can.
I'm more excited to be on this show than I was on that show.
We have Andrea Colleen here. She says you're Y-Town's greatest baker, and you're going to make lobster cookies, is what she just said.
Lobster cookies.
She said.
I'm gonna have to think about that one.
So not only do I not eat wheat, I'm also deathly allergic to lobster. So thank you very much.
And then, who is Shelley LeBlanc?
I have no idea who that is.
I was gonna say is that your wife?
Yes, it is.
You
said
nagged
she-
and nagged and nagged
Oh
and
my
nagged until
god!
you filled
I
it
knew
out.
she was gonna say something about that. Sorry, honey.
Yeah, we can see the comments in here.
No, we can see the comments. Sorry, honey.
So you get the call.
You had nothing but the best intentions, I know.
You do the interview. They call you. They tell you you're going to be on the show. What's the next step?
Well, we actually had opportunity to develop recipes for every episode. There's 3 bakes: signature, technical, and showstopper. So the signature and the showstopper, we have to develop our own recipes for those bakes. The technical is a surprise bake. We have to do kind of, here's a recipe, go for it in a time frame. But those ones we have to develop. You have to really show who you are as a baker, where you're from, what you like, and try to come up with recipes that fit into the criteria for that episode, whether it's cake week or bread week or whatever.
Gotcha. So what was?
So I developed recipes for a month or 2.
What was the hardest part of all that for you?
For me, really, just trying to wrap my mind around it. I was thinking about, like, you have to do a bread showstopper. For example, one of the ones I had to do was a sweet-filled bread showstopper. So I'm racking my brain thinking about what's everybody else going to do? How can I separate myself from the other people, and how can I show who I am and where I'm from? And my main focus, anybody that watched the show knows that I really tried to stick to the East Coast and do everything I could East Coast. And might not have really worked out that great for me in some instances, because the judges really had had no idea what I was doing. They had never, like, I did we had to do a meat pie for one of the episodes.
Yeah.
I did a donair, Halifax donair tortillere. So they had never had a Halifax donair, and you had no idea what one was. I did a side sauce to go with it. They never touched the side sauce, which is
You need the sauce.
You need the
That's
sauce,
it.
right?
That's it.
Right. I did.
Hashtag you need the sauce.
We had to do we had to do high tea, and I did a blueberry grunt in an espresso shot glass, like
Yeah.
an espresso cup, and did it really nice. And I put a little piece of the dumpling on top of the blueberry in the shot glass, and some espresso whipped cream on top, and he thought my cake was too dense. So, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some of the East Coast
we have some
minutia
weird
was kind of
stuff,
went over
yeah.
their heads. So
We have a.
that's not my excuse, but for leaving when I left.
Shelley chimed in again with a wife inside scoop. She said that the hardest part was building a wharf before heading to the show and only having a to practice compared to the 4 months that he was given. She's calling you out.
Fine. I didn't put as much time in practicing as I probably should have. I had a lot of stuff to do, tying up work. I mean, a month and a half,
That's a long time. to
it's a
take
big
off.
commitment.
Yeah.
And you have a family, you have a job, and you're not really, you know, there's no hope of riches at the end of the show. It's not
What's
like
the prize?
You get a glass engraved cake plate.
Classic CBC.
Right.
Erase.
Love you,
erase that,
CBC.
erase
Yeah,
that.
cut. No, that's the formula for the show. It's based on the British version, and the British version of the show has had a very strong, I think, 8 seasons, and that's just the way it is, and that's why I think people like the show so much. It's not about money.
It's just about baking.
It's about baking, really. It is.
And that makes sense, actually.
It's just average people with maybe a little bit of talent baking. And
Did you make any friends on the show, like, that you still keep in contact with?
yeah.
Or did you have time to, like, actually interact with people?
Oh no, we stayed in the same hotel, and we were just we really came together and bonded. I know it's kind of cliche. All
Well,
these
no,
shows.
it's a very unique experience.
It
Like,
is.
There's not many people that
all
would
these
be able
shows,
to,
like reality shows. Oh, I love these people, and we're friends forever. But it actually, you kind of are, because it is, like you say, it is.
I'm feeling that right now.
Yeah. We're going out.
That's
next
happening.
weekend,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we stayed friends. We're in a WhatsApp chat group, and we still talk every day. All of us. We send pictures of our bakes back and forth. So it really did happen. Yeah.
Did the show take anything away from your love of baking? Like, were at the end of it, when you, like, got home, you just got booted off? Were you like, I'm done, I'm throwing it all away,
I'll be
I
honest.
never want to see another speck of flour in this house again?
I'll be honest. I definitely had to have a vacation after the show, without
Yeah.
a doubt. It was really stressful, more stressful than you'd think. But my baking beforehand was very narrow. I did a few
So it kind
breads,
of opened things up.
and it really showed me a lot of stuff that I didn't know about, and it kind of expanded my horizons. And I baked more since the show than I have my entire life. So I mean, going into the show, I may have embellished my experience a little bit, but it's really kind of opened up baking a bit for me. I mean, I'm not going to become a baker. I'm not, gonna.
There's no,
open a
like,
bakery.
dreams of grandeur in the
No,
future?
no,
where you
not
open a
really.
little bakery or anything like that?
No, but I get a lot of requests, actually, just random online. People in town that want a cake, and they see my Instagram or whatever. Friends, people from Shelley's school, which is, they're huge fans of mine. And so I don't turn any of them down. The kids go to bed. I have a glass of wine and do some baking, and so I sell a little bit on the side.
Nice.
Not to cut your grass or anything, but.
It doesn't affect us.
Sure it doesn't. So yeah, and I enjoy doing it. So anybody needs anything on the side,
So if they called you up like next year and said we're doing an all-star show, another month and a half, would you do it?
I have kept that in the back of my mind. I know in the British version they've done some specials like a Christmas special and stuff like that where they bring back kind of some of the more interesting people. And I'd definitely do that.
Yeah?
I would. Especially now where I think I know like 3 times as much about baking than I did going into the show.
You would be forced to learn so much so quickly just because of
Right.
the sheer volume of
Trying to develop
products you're
recipes
creating.
was
Yeah,
difficult.
absolutely.
We have Man versus Cake tuning in from Newfoundland, and what he said. Richie from Nova Scotia watched the show, was rooting for you all the way. East Coast proud. Coast again.
All right, let's look at these cookies.
Yeah, they're never gonna get done
No,
now.
that's fine.
Like,
We have cookies in the oven. These ones don't matter.
they look terrible.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's be honest.
No, we have a
Right
pretty
up
good
there, zoom it up there, zoom it
pretty
up.
good
Let's
track
see how much that is.
record.
They look terrible.
So we
Sorry,
have
guys.
we have butter shortening, and our
Right.
sugars
So
in
yeah,
here.
so my mom's secret recipe. So basically, it's off the top of my head, and I'll probably get it wrong. So don't do them, Mom. So half for a single batch, I always double it. Half a cup of white, quarter cup of brown, cup of all-purpose flour, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, vanilla, and an egg. So it's pretty simple recipe, and it turns out if you leave them in the oven a little long, kind of classic cookies, or a little bit less, and they're chewy, they're good.
And you did some artwork for us here today.
Yeah, well, I didn't know really what we'd be talking about, so I wanted to discuss the different kinds.
He literally sat over in our shop for like 5
That's
minutes
good.
before we went on air and made this.
So
I love
if
it.
you like classic, which in my mind classic chocolate chip is maybe hard around the edge, a little bit on the bottom, and chewy in the middle. Crispy, which is a completely crispy chocolate chip cookie, and you have problems if that's what you like. And chewy all the way.
And I have a question
We
underneath.
left them in too long, but not too bad. Maybe it might be all right.
Maybe more crispy.
They're probably pushing crispy at this point.
Smells delicious.
They do
What do
smell
we think here?
delicious.
So you obviously, by your tone, you're not the crispy cookie guy.
No, I'm more the chewy
Oh,
guy.
you made some crispy cookies here today, sir.
Oh my gosh.
Once again, so
Didn't set the
I'm the
time
only
for it.
contestant. You're voting me off the show already. All right.
That's what we got here.
I failed. So, if your own recipe, you can make these changes if you want to change the outcome. Your flour, you can change your flour a little bit if you want it more chewy. Your sugar,
Do you want me to hold it and then you can...
your butter. Yeah,
Over here.
I'll get my.
Gorgeous.
Oh, this is making me nervous. I've made fun of you a lot tonight.
Well, so your classic. You can adjust your sugar. You can have more brown than white for chewy. For your classic, more brown than white. For crispy, if you want them a little crispier, take out some of the brown. I don't suggest that because I like the brown adds a little bit of like the caramel taste to your chocolate chip cookie, which I like. I mean, it speaks for itself. Baking soda, it's always baking soda for chocolate chip cookies, I find anyway. You put a little less if you want them chewy, a little more if you want them crispy. You can adjust your egg yolks if you find you're not getting them chewy enough. Take out a white and add an extra yolk. Yeah, I mean, you can pause the video and the chart speaks for itself.
Let me take a picture of this afterwards. We'll share it for sure.
Sure.
Vanna White. I prefer Vanna over that.
And I can sign this so you can put it on the wall.
Oh,
if you
I'll sign it too.
want.
I'll sign it too. Okay, so we have the cookies here.
Yeah, that you completely ruined.
I don't...
Yes. Welcome to the game,
You know-
Julian. There you go. Get it right in
Julian, I
there.
I'll move this knife over.
I was so interested in the story of how you failed on the Great Canadian Baking Show that I just
Ooh.
couldn't focus on the
I
cookies.
did bring the knife over here.
It's still within arm's reach.
So, no, go for it. What do you?
Yeah. As far as my failure on the show,
Do you consider it a failure? Because I wouldn't.
No.
I
no,
wouldn't,
not
I
at
wouldn't
all.
think of it as a
No,
failure
no,
at all.
not at all. I had by far, I think, the least experience on the show, and I think I punched above my weight for as much baking as I've done in my past.
Yeah.
So the show was a success for me, and I'm really happy I did it. It was an amazing experience.
No doubt.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Personal question.
You can speak up though. Speak up.
What was the most challenging thing that you did on the show? Like in terms of what?
God, staying awake,
Oh.
dealing with the stress. It was like 16 hours. I think the whole time I was there, we had one day off.
Did you get to talk to your family or anything like that?
Yeah. We there were phones on set, but you could call from the hotel room at night.
And in terms of what you were baking, like what did you find the most challenging?
Technical bakes, I think. They were the ones where here's a recipe, you have an hour and a half to do it. And with my limited experience, the fact that I didn't watch the British show enough to know what, for example, a Battenberg cake was, which I think they did 2 or 3 times on the show, which
What is it? I have no
I
idea.
was gonna say, what is it?
it's a British cake, like a checkerboard pattern wrapped in fondant. And my fondant fancies was another one that I did, and man,
So when they
they
say
were bad.
when they say we need you to make a blah 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 cake, do they like?
There's a rest. They give you a recipe.
They give you a recipe
You
for
flip
it.
it over, but you have to fill in some of the blanks. You have to use your baking experience in some cases.
So you don't necessarily have or know the recipe.
Right, and it
for-
could say and bake until done, or things like that. You don't know how high to. What
But they give you a
temperature.
general idea. of
More or
what you're
less.
looking
They're
for.
not going to leave us high and dry.
Yeah.
We are amateur bakers, but they left a few holes. But generally, it was pretty good. If you read the recipe and you weren't too stressed out, you could usually pull it together by the end of the time.
Have you gone back and watched the show? Like, have you seen all the episodes that you were on?
Yes, I did. I saw all the episodes. I think I actually, after I left, like everybody else in Eastern Canada, we stopped watching. No, it's not true. I actually, there is one episode I missed, and I haven't gone back and watched it yet. I'm going to be in so much trouble for saying that. But I watched the rest.
So watching them again, was there anything that you wish had made it to air that didn't, or was there anything that you kind of felt maybe was misrepresented or anything
No,
like
you know, with this show, I know you didn't watch it,
that? No, I've never seen it.
but with this show, it's not like a lot of the other baking shows where they're trying to mess you up. It's like everyone helps each other, and they're really trying to help you succeed. You know, it's you against your bake, and you're not
Gotcha.
you're not fighting against the other people. We actually quite often helped each other out.
Gotcha. Well, it's Canadian, right? Like, what else? do
And
you
what
expect?
and you can't
And
get anything
you're-
more Canadian than that.
You're getting some frenemies on here with your comments. We got an ouch. We got a low blow. We've got you're a winner in our hearts, Julian. Julian, you were awesome. You did the maritime.
Guys, I'm here too. I'm here too.
You
It's not
just
all about
ruined
you.
your show.
Viewers are going down. Oh, we got 3 viewers. Mom, there's your wife.
What were we talking about?
He gave me free wine, so we're all good.
Oh yeah, was there anything that you?
Sorry, I just say Benjamin. You should watch yourself. Is what Patty just said.
Is there anything that you wish had made to air?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that question. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure there is, and I'm going to kick myself after the fact. I'm not saying it, but not really. They were pretty good with the editing. I wish I had been in a little bit more in the editing. I found that maybe I was edited out a little bit in a few episodes, but it was good. They treated us pretty well.
Would you like? I guess it's probably hard to say, but like watching it back, do you notice like the trends in the editing? Like if someone's getting voted out, could you like?
I tried to pick that out, and there might have been a couple subtle clues here and there, which I noted, but they're sometimes if somebody has it's not being voted off, like 2 or 3 people have.
You won't hear from them in a while.
No, actually they'll show a mistake of 2 or 3 people when they're talking about who's going that week, and they'll show somebody making a mistake who actually isn't leaving, just to show you 2 or 3 people that might be leaving.
Gotcha. Because I remember, like the first couple of years Hell's Kitchen was on, I watched it quite a bit, and I remember like after the second season, it was like they're focusing on this person a lot. They're definitely going home tonight.
Right.
Like, it's just like, They haven't said that you haven't seen this person once.
I know exactly.
In 5 episodes.
Right.
This whole episode's been about them. They're going.
Well, they always do a backstory too, and
Yeah.
they go to your house and take you at your house or doing your job or whatever. So, you know, if you're the first person to go, then they kind of got to get that in their first episode. So that might be an indication.
Was there any? You don't have to say specifics, but was there somebody who went maybe after you that you kind of were like, oh, maybe they should have went before me?
What is you're pulling them in here?
Trying to create a controversy
say
with
he's
me and my
friends with
friends.
them.
I said
With
no
my friends
specifics.
and
I'm just
The
asking.
group chat's gonna be blowing up.
Oh, yes, it is.
You better
Yes,
watch
it
out.
is. No, do you know what? The judges were pretty bang on. I mean, maybe the episode I went, it was close. I think with James and I, and sorry, James. There's been a few people that have said, well, they think James should have went that episode, but he ended up doing really well the next episode. Like I think it was the next episode he was Star Baker. So I can't. The judges were generally pretty bang on.
So you're standing up there. I'm assuming it's 3 people in a line, and the judges are like you, and you, blah blah blah. Is that how it
They
works?
line us all up.
You should watch a show, Ben.
I'm probably not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Actually, I'll watch one of yours. I promise. I will.
Just not the one I lead.
Okay. So you're standing up there in line. Like, do you know you're going home? Like, do you have that feeling? No idea.
Well, yes. That episode, I felt I was. I had my signature. Actually, destroyed my showstopper disaster. My signature. I had a disaster. That was donuts. My technical, and people that watch the show will know what those are. Wasn't the greatest. My showstopper might have pulled my iron back out of the fire, but it was close. I felt I was probably the one going that episode, and I was.
Was there any other episode where you were like, it could be today?
No.
That was
no,
the first one?
Yeah. I felt pretty confident the other episodes.
You have Adam and Michelle Smith.
Yep.
Said, Julian, you'll always be my favorite baking partner. I miss that kitchen that lasts from the edition. Great memories for everyone.
Thanks, Michelle.
Patty also says, yes, Ben, guest research is important. Hashtag watch the show.
You're getting in a lot of trouble this episode, buddy.
Yeah.
Again-
And your wife is trying to cause drama, Julian. She said when you were talking about who should have gotten maybe eliminated before you, she said, bah ha ha, oh, come on, we know who.
Oh.
So I'm thinking maybe she should be on the episode with Ben because it has caused all kinds of drama.
Can we Skype her in or something? Can we do that?
Christine, how would you say that?
Leger.
Leger, yeah.
Is watching from Disney.
For Disney.
Oh,
Hello,
nice.
Hey.
Christine.
So, you bake a lot, obviously. It's your kind of like your side enjoyment. It's like your hobby.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, my family's pretty tired of bakes, so I don't do it a whole lot for fun. Usually people are coming over, but I mainly focus on, I get a lot of people that want a cake or they want cupcakes.
Because
Don't do
that is
outside.
that is the problem with baking is you got to eat it.
Right.
Like you
Right.
can
You
play
do,
with it all
you do.
you want,
You-
but then you just have a cake sitting in your house. And,
Right. And that's difficult.
yeah.
It's very difficult.
But you are a contractor.
Yes. Yep.
So you're a contractor around the HRM, I'm assuming?
Yep.
And you go to New Brunswick and you
I
go
do,
to,
yeah, yeah.
You kind of go all over the place.
I do.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you for contracting or for cake making or anything else, how can they do that?
Well, for cake making, you can find me online.
Say the bottom,
You
it's
can
right
find me
at the bottom.
online, eastcoastbaker.ca. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. For contracting, you can also find me online, Blue in Construction. Yeah, so I'm pretty easy to find.
Do you have like a specialty in contracting? Like you guys build decks or you build...
No, I mostly do a lot of commercial stuff, but I'm starting to slide back into residential a little bit. So, if anybody needs something done, let me know.
Gotcha. All right, well, I would love to eat one of these cookies, but I can't because I will get very sick, but they do look delicious.
Slightly overdone.
No, honestly, like this is kind of how my mom always made cookies.
Is it?
She always liked
Yeah.
them crispy. I always hated them crispy, but she liked them.
Yeah, I like them. Well, it's actually still a
They
little
smell.
chewy.
They smell delicious.
Thank you.
So, Julian, we're pretty much at the end here. Is there anything you want to throw out into the world before we let you go?
Now you're really putting me on the spot. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody that watched the show. I've got a lot of support and really appreciated it. And appreciate it. And thank you.
Thank you for coming. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
So we always end the show the same way, which you wouldn't know because you haven't done your research either.
Sorry, Patty. Patty's gonna kill me.
But we always say chit chat chop 5 times fast.
Together?
Yeah. So he'll count us in, and then we'll say chit chat chop, chit chat chop, chit chat chop, and you can do movements. Doug Belding always does movements for it. There's all kinds
Kind of
of
like
stuff.
a tongue twister. I end with shit
exactly.
or something.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
okay. Sorry.
See, I was born on a pirate ship class 5 times.
Where are we? We over here?
We're over here.
Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you to my wonderful guest, Julian, for coming on the show and being my victim this evening. Sorry if I was a little too mean. That's just my nature. We'll be back next week with another great show. Meryl Cook. And as always, I thought something would come to me there, but it didn't. So we'll see you next week.
Ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Chit chat chop, chit chat chop, chit chat chop, chit chat chop, chit chat chop. See you later.
Thanks,
No
man.
worries.
Cookies are amazing, by the way.
They're quite delicious.